sad that Rytis is not here
Really sad.
because he's a big-time Argentinian fan.
I would have loved to see his reaction.
I was sure he was going to bring Argentina jersey, some football jersey.
I didn't know that he wasn't coming, and I was imagining him sitting here with the Messi jersey, being really happy, talking 50% of this pod about the game that happened yesterday. Great commentating by him last night. Football has peaked.
We actually.
Wait. Let me ask you one question. Did you watch the game yesterday?
Of course.
Because I saw on your Instagram story a video of your kid, and I don't know if you did not get the memo, but you wasn't allowed to post anything else apart the Messi pictures yesterday on Instagram. Like all Instagram was only Messi pictures,
and it was so wrong because Angel Di Maria was actually the MVP of the game. I mean, he made the path for this victory.
True.
Of course, they ruined everything in the last 15 minutes of the game.
You could also say the MVP was the goalkeeper.
True.
He made that save in the 122nd minute of the game in the overtime. Yeah. Was like
Emi Hernandez, right?
Yes.
Like this, and with the hand like that, right?
He made a lot of interesting gestures.
It will make
yesterday.
a great gif. Okay.
But no, his save was, on Twitter compared with the LeBron's block on Iguodala in Game 7.
True.
Because it was...
those goals by Mbappe, I mean, he did his best
I think he touched all the shots.
Yeah. So I just started wondering, if I'm a goalkeeper and Mbappe just, goes through my hand, should I work more on what? Should I work more on strength? To get to advance into the next level, or what goalkeepers do in those kind of situations, or it's just impossible to save that shot.
I think it's just he shoots so strong that it's hardly impossible to.
Who is Mbappe in today's basketball? Is he like?
Who is Mbappe in
LeBron
today's basketball?
James?
No, I mean he's much younger.
Not in today's LeBron James when he was younger, growing to an elite player. No,
I don't know. Maybe Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Can do everything on the.
He also has his
offense.
burner account, or no?
I'm not following him on his socials, but
no, I love all the storylines about Messi. It was great. I also think that he's great as ever, but I just think that his all this narrative about him overshadowed the real heroes, or let's say the heroes who were not less as important as Messi.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why, but also again, it's probably the narrative of the social media and the current world we live in right now. It was obviously, for a lot of people, it was, if Messi wins this, he is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Even though, the debate is subjective all the time, and winning a World Cup game where also others can decide the outcome of the game is, it shouldn't be, if Messi wins this, he's the GOAT. If he doesn't win, then what? He's not the GOAT anymore. And so yeah, you made a great point. Like there were like 3 heroes in that Argentina team, and everyone is saying is like, even me, I'm saying this was the best game of football you've probably seen, and but
the best drama, I would say.
Best drama for sure.
It was a pretty bad game until the
75 minutes. And 75th minute. It was.
I was also surprised, but as a football outsider, I was surprised by this narrative. Our commentators, including Rytis, they were killing France for 75 minutes. Suddenly, this game is the best World Cup final ever.
Probably
that's
because
weird for me.
Because that what happened after the 75th minute. In the clutch time, there were so many great moments, so many great saves, and France managing to come back 2 times in such short periods. Obviously, 2 goals in 2 minutes. That's also you don't see that very often. So. Obviously, Mbappe scoring a hat trick also is a great story. Messi, Messi involved in all this makes it, even emphasizes everything.
Like a cherry on a cake, probably.
Yeah, so just probably the best storyline. The only better storyline would have been if it was Ronaldo getting the hat trick and Portugal and Messi still winning. Ooh. That would have been. Ooh. This is the only storyline that could top this. But it was, the present, the GOAT, and maybe the next superstar battling each other, and just teammates as well.
Mm.
So
everyone was watching football, even me. I was watching football. My kid was also watching football, although he was not as impressed with football game as if it was a basketball broadcast. I have to be honest, because then he tried to play with some other things during the football game. But when there's basketball, he is just all the time focused on the game. I don't know, maybe because screens are changing all the time, or there's more dynamics in the basketball game. I don't know. But anyways, everybody was watching football. I just heard that fact that 4 years ago in 2018, 1.1 billion people watched the game out of like 7 billion we had back then. Probably right now we have around 8, I think. So that's huge. And who for sure didn't watch? I mean, what people for sure didn't watch was some domestic league games, including Lithuanian league. We have Žalgiris, Lietkabelis, fairly tough 3 teams in Lithuania.
EuroLeague team and Euro Cup team.
As a FIFA World Cup. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
I mean, the same happened with French league games. Okay, Asvel and Strasbourg, they changed the game time from, I don't remember when, to they played at 1 o'clock.
Instead of playing during the final, they played before.
Yeah. But they also put Monaco game against Le Portel at 7 o'clock. By their time, the FIFA World Cup final started at 4. And from what I've heard, I mean, even doing a smart decision by postponing the game time in I don't remember, it was in Strasbourg or Villeurbanne, it was not a league's decisions, it was a broadcaster's decision. But to put Monaco game against Le Portel, who even watches that game? Because if France wins, of course you celebrate, you go to streets, nobody cares about nothing else. If you lose, you hate everything. You hate the whole world. You don't want to do anything, and especially watching Monaco playing against Le Portel. How can you put the game? How can you schedule games like that? I mean, there was this guy on Twitter who tweeted something in 2014 or 15 that Leo Messi will play FIFA World Cup final in December 18, 2022 and become the GOAT. I mean,
saw
that guy 7 years ago, he saw, what's coming, and he probably planned his day 7 years ago.
For sure.
Our leagues, people who run basketball, they can't make these decisions, preparing the schedule and having this big mark in our calendar with FIFA World Cup final. It's stupid for me.
I agree. I completely agree. It's, without a doubt, the biggest sporting event, that can happen. I mean, I would argue that it's bigger than the Olympics, because in the Olympics, football doesn't really exist. Like only young players play there. So, you don't have the most popular sport there. And FIFA World Cup final is probably the biggest game in the world that happens in a 4-year span. Like, not even in 4-year span, in all time.
Really? Yeah.
So it should be the only sporting event. When it happens, it should be the only sporting event. Like, USA does a great job. When the Super Bowl is playing, the NBA stops for one day. Everyone watches the Super Bowl. Some players even go to watch the Super Bowl final whenever it takes place. So in my eyes, it should be, all eyes on football, and it wouldn't be a shame to play, I don't know, or Monday, or probably the right thing to do would be play on Saturday, the league games, and just have a day off on...
okay, they had double round week, for example, in EuroLeague, so I don't remember if Monaco played on Friday or on Thursday, so maybe they cannot play on Saturday.
Monaco played
postpone
Friday.
The game on Monday, or you can make it a mid-noon game or something like that. Yeah. I mean, I know that nobody actually cares about Monaco and Le Portel. Even in France, there's not much curiosity about that game. But I mean, we're talking about small details, but these small details, they make a big picture. That's where the perfection starts, from details.
And it seemed like Monaco were watching the football game as well. They started
0-20. I don't remember any ever single game with that kind of start. When I heard about 0-20, I thought like, they didn't show up in the game? I mean, they got the technical loss or what was going on?
I don't know, but it's just, probably some players were still watching the game on their phones or
yeah, Laprovitola was watching the game.
I
was so glad for the guy.
That was such a heartwarming video, let's say.
And he actually played a nice game, 13 points. He was a top scorer against Gunukaha. So I thought that for sure, emotionally, it's going to be so hard to handle for him.
But, sometimes it works in your favor. In your favor. So that's probably what it was. Not for Monaco.
Great news for Lithuanians, and I believe great news for all European basketball fans, because we will have EuroLeague Final Four 2023 in Kaunas on May 19, 21. That's so cool, actually.
And the tickets will be available, I saw,
January 17th.
January 17th.
Yeah, there is f4tickets.com, and I see that the prices range from 225 euros to 515. I'm just not sure if it's a day ticket. That's a package for the whole event. Okay, I think that's a pretty good price. But actually, a lot of people. I saw some people congratulating me for having the Final Four for the first time in Lithuania. But at the same time, actually, for us journalists, it's way more exciting to travel to different countries, to get to know different cultures, to go to these countries with huge fan bases like Istanbul, Athens, Belgrade. It's way more exciting because it's something different. Because, okay, we're used to this event, big basketball celebration in Lithuania, which is actually every week. We have a sold-out crowds. We have from, I don't even remember. I think that only the first game of the season wasn't in a sold-out crowd. So,
but it was like 98% still.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool. At least that's how I thought about it at the beginning. But then when I thought how many different basketball people we'll have in one place, starting from fans, players, agents, scouts, NBA people. Maybe some Greg Popovich is going to come to Kaunas. Kevin Durant, if he will fail again with Brooklyn, he will come to see Mike James, for example, in Kaunas.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. And I think that basketball fans in Europe should be so happy because Kaunas is a great city to have this event. The best thing about Kaunas, I'm not living in Kaunas. I'm living in Vilnius. My hometown is Panevėžys. And actually, okay, I'm not going to say this on the record, but what I wanted to say, why I like these events in Kaunas, like it was Eurobasket 2011, pre-Olympic tournament, that after the basketball game, it is in the city center. It's like you have to cross by the bridge and you're in the area with a lot of bars, nightclubs, and a lot of stuff. And I remember that in 2011, as soon as you finish the game, you go outside and you see so many players, coaches drinking, celebrating, just talking, just sharing the emotions, just sharing the love of basketball, love for the game of basketball. So it was one of those places where you feel that the whole city is living is briefing basketball for the entire weekend. And it's a pretty rare thing. I've just been in this Eurobasket in Cologne or especially Berlin. Whenever you go outside the area of the arena, nobody knows about Eurobasket. Nobody knows about basketball. It's not going to be the case in Kaunas.
Here, everyone will, it's going to be the number one priority for probably the rest of the season, and just to have so many basketball people in one place and for that place to be in Kaunas in Lithuania is something special. I'm really happy that Lithuania and Kaunas in particular is getting this chance. And, it's not one of those situations where you will see a gym in the semifinal or third place game completely, not completely, but for example, let's say 30% of seats, not occupied. I don't believe this is going to be the case. I believe it's going to be full. I believe it's going to be loud because, we have some teams that have great fans, but for example, Barcelona probably is going to be the favorite here, even though their fans are rarely
for traveling.
Yeah, they're rarely traveling to Final Four. So it's going to be really cool to see if Barcelona is there, how Lithuanians would support Jasikevičius, and him winning the trophy would be an amazing storyline as well. You know, we talked about great storylines about the World Cup final, and you know, Šaras winning the EuroLeague in Kaunas would make for a pretty good article. And as you mentioned, I don't know if it was off the record or not, but you know, then, you know, seeing him celebrate and Barcelona players celebrating would be cool as well.
Yeah, and talking about Barca, I mean, I just love watching them, how they're keeping people's mouths shut in terms of winning against big teams. Like the game against Monaco, I mean, it was super solid win, defensive win for the team. They did a great job defensively. And I mean, if you remember, they played Fenerbahce, who were really hot, and they won in a solid way, I would say. The same happened with Real Madrid, although the final result was close. But once again, Barcelona just made problems from out of nowhere, basically, in the last minutes of the game. Okay, they lost against Olympiacos, and there was this FS game, but I would say that it was more about FS playing an amazing game, turning this momentum of the season around. Yeah, they lost as well, but I'm talking about those big teams, and I just remember how nobody treated Barcelona seriously before the season. They were like, okay, Kalaitis was better than Satransky. Okay, Vesely, he's getting older. Okay, their roster is not impressive. Okay, Šaras sucks. And now when they're facing big-time teams, they're delivering. They're really delivering.
I mean, if there's one thing you can count on Barcelona doing, is them having the best plan for these big games. And the best plan to stopping these superstars, you know, like Mike James, like you know, Vasilija Micic, you know, you name it. You know, Jasikevičius is going to prepare a really nice plan, an effective one. And in my eyes, Barcelona plays better against good teams than they do against the. I don't know, you know, what's the secret behind this. It's hard to explain, you know, why they're playing better against top tier teams, but it's just, for me, it just happens to be the case. And I'm sure when I'm tuning in watching Barcelona play against the top 8 team, I'm sure they are going to be the favorite.
Yeah. We didn't mention why Rytis is not here, right?
I don't think so.
He has a fear. At least he texted me about it like a couple of hours ago.
He's still celebrating
straight
probably
before the pod, but I am sure that it's heavily related to the fact that Argentina won the final, because he was almost crying on the TV broadcast yesterday.
He wrote on Twitter that he did, I think.
Okay. You could even hear it from his voice. I mean, it was an emotional moment for him, because as he mentioned, it was the best final for him, for sure. And of course, watching Leo Messi and Argentina winning was something else. So his body just couldn't, you know, handle such an emotional pressure coming from everywhere. So that's the reason why he's not here, and it's really sad, because we had some great topics for this pod today, including some trade scenarios in the EuroLeague. Nobody is doing trades here, especially compared to the NBA. But the thing is that the transfer between the EuroLeague teams window opened on December 18, and until December 28th, EuroLeague players are able to switch teams for one and last time.
December 28th?
Yeah.
So like
you can sign
1 week and that's it?
Yeah, 10 days. So if you're playing for Barcelona, for example, and if you want to play for Fenerbahce, for example, you have only 10 days. Now it's even less to switch teams.
So this is like the only week we could do the trade scenarios.
That's true. Okay. That's true. It's such a short gap, which is a little bit weird. But the free agency period finishes at February 9th. And I remember that last year that they postponed the dates after the Cups break, which makes sense, actually.
Makes sense, yeah.
So who knows, maybe it will happen the same. But again, it's exciting time to share those hypothetical trade scenarios. We have GOAT conversation, basically, in basketball. And Mike James had a great thread. That's why it's sad that Rytis is not here, because he had a great discussion with Mike James about box and one defense. And pretty much is, right?
And you know, Kaunas
Antetokounmpo signing with Fenerbahce. Right. So let's start from Mike James thread, right? I think I have a quote somewhere. Yeah, he just, after the Alba game, He tweeted, "Okay, the day is past and the game is over. Can we all agree that playing box and one for 40 minutes in a professional basketball game is ridiculous?" Just a reminder that Monaco won in a tight game against Alba, game winner by Antetokounmpo. Mike scored 8 points, I think, and made 7 assists and 7 rebounds. It was the lowest scoring game of the season, probably.
Quick. Mike had 8 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, only 1 turnover in 32 minutes. He shot 5 times from the floor.
Yeah, he was 3 of 5.
3 of 5, 2 of 2 free throws. Probably that's the lowest amount of field goals he took in all season. I mean, I'm not going to check all the games right now, but 5 shots. I would be pretty safe. It would be pretty safe to say that that's the lowest amount. And the next day I open Twitter, I see this post. I'm like, I gotta check the comments. What they talking about? And I opened the thread and it's Rytis, already with the 5 replies with the Mike James. And my first thought is obviously, that's the dream interaction for Rytis. I don't care even what they're saying. But then I start to read and it's like basically what I see from all this is that Mike is simply sad that he took only 5 shots. And to me, his argument that you have to man up and play the defense, I mean, this is not a valid argument to the fact that he's calling this is a stupid idea.
Stupid idea for 40 minutes.
Stupid idea for 40 minutes.
It's not about being sad because he took only 5 shots. It's being sad because you're basically not able to play a normal basketball game as a basketball individual. You cannot enjoy the game in that case.
That's true. You cannot enjoy the game, but the game is not made for you to enjoy it. The game is made for you to win it. And they won, but Alba did the best they could. I mean, they were on a 10-game losing streak coming into this game. The last time they won probably was in October still. So, and I don't see, him saying man up and play defense. I don't see and basically he said, if you played this box and one for 40 minutes, you're admitting that your players are not good enough. I don't see nothing wrong with admitting that, Modolo, Jalene Smith, or anyone else on Alba is not able to guard Mike James. That's a normal statement. I agree. Probably even the players understand that, sometimes they're not capable of guarding Mike efficiently. And sometimes, even when there are really good defenders, it doesn't really matter. If Mike is in the zone, he can knock down pretty much any shot he wants.
He can make the 3-pointer over Eddie Tavares.
That's true. So, I don't see why it is stupid. I think, if he wrote this 24 hours after the game, he was annoyed during the game. And it is another advantage of Alba, because he definitely thought that during the game, like, I'm annoyed. What are they doing for 40 minutes? Just let us play. So it also kind of got in his head, just a little bit. Obviously, he made all the right decisions, all the right passes. Alpha Diallo, Jaron Blossom game were shooting wide open. But I mean, I don't see how that's much different also from, let's say, doubling him on every pick and roll situation. Like, what is the difference? Like, he would have to give up the ball. He would see a man every time close to him, and it would be a similar situation. So the only shot he was left was like step back 3-pointers, really hard, because there were like some times where he's trying to play isolation basketball. He sees one man in front, and two other guys are like basically standing next to you. There is no driving gaps. There's only the pass to the corners. It was a risk that worked. So like, I don't see a problem for this defense, and they could have won the game also, Alba.
I saw that some people were like trash talking that, Mike, you were allowed limited only to 8 points, so that works. I don't think it's right, because as Mike also pointed out, he generated so many points. I checked the stats,
and even more great shots for others, even the ones that they missed.
In points and assists, he created 28 points. That was the game high in both teams. And I would actually love to see this stat line on the box score. How many points you generated from scoring and assisting. So Mike was top with 28, which says that he still found ways how to be effective and to win the game against that kind of defense.
So what's the problem?
I see Mike's point. I mean, I think that talent should be endorsed. I think that we should
by other team.
Listen, let me finish.
I don't agree.
I
don't agree already.
I think that talent should be endorsed. Look at the NBA rules. They made so many rules. There's no defensive. There is a defensive 3-second violation. The space is bigger, so you kind of create more opportunities to score. You create more opportunities for a higher scoring game, which comes from the talent, from the skill. There's this goaltending rule: when you touch the ball when it's on the rim, it also helps to score more points and it helps talent. I mean, I think that in almost all cases, we should endorse talent and we should kind of support those who are talented and not make rules for those who want to squeeze the talent. But we're not living in a fairy tale. EuroLeague is not a fair competition. You're having Monaco with Mike James and Alba. Mike James,
exactly.
And I think that Elio Kobo, they make as much money as the entire Alba roster. And it's not just some guess, it's calculated guess. How can you expect that this team will have anybody being able to defend you one-on-one? And this is not even the NBA. I think that Alba, they also don't have this 10-year A license. They're also, fighting for their future. They need to win games. And there is this famous quote on the Moneyball movie. If we play like Yankees here, we're gonna lose to Yankees out there. So Alba cannot play like any other rich team with a lot of talented players, rallied by some kind of particular amount of money. They have to play different, and this is their style. Defensively, it's not the first time they use this defensive scheme. Although, okay, for me, it's also weird that they were playing the 40 minutes. But it actually helped them to stay in the game. I mean, if they lost to Monaco only by a game winner, by a buzzer beater, it's already a good situation, because for such a low budget team, it's already great to be in a situation to win the game in the end. You're not necessarily winning all the games, but at least to put yourself in a situation to win the game in the end. If Johannes Timon, for example, made that 3-pointer before the last position, the game is over. So it says that it was great. So I believe I understand Mike's frustration. I remember when Steph Curry was treated with this defensive scheme in 2019. Toronto NBA Finals, he also said that this was like janky defense, and he was, trash
but
talking
that's
about
the whole point. If you are so good, and the other teams will try to do something to stop you. They will try anything to stop you, because you are the reason why they will probably lose if they don't do anything. So why they shouldn't do it?
Or they just prefer by losing to Blossom games, 3-pointers. Exactly. I don't know, Donta Hall scoring, Donatas Motinas scoring, but not Mike James, because every time Mike James scored more than 18 points, they won the game. It was, I think, 4 or 6 times this season. It also tells something. So I kind of get it, because the way how Alba played took all the joy from basketball from Mike James. But at the same time, we're not living in a fairy tale world. So
you made a great point, to which I agree, that you have to endorse talent like NBA does. But at the same time, NBA has a salary cap and all the stuff you said. So the last thing I want to add to this story is that it is normal. We shouldn't decide from the results only about the choices of the team. Only the outcome does not say if the choice was good or not. Because maybe the results from one game can be valued differently, but the choice was simply that you live with others taking the shot and not Mike James. And to me, this is a good strategy. Doesn't matter the outcome. This time they lost, but they had a good game. Fine. Maybe the next time it doesn't work, or 2 times in a row it doesn't work, then you say this is not a normal tactic. You shouldn't do this for 40 minutes. But I understand why they did it, and really, to me, I imagine more of other teams doing that. Maybe not for 40 minutes. So I don't know, like saying that Scariolo or Nurse, when they were in Toronto doing this to Curry, or even Triangle in 2, like, yeah, they admit that Curry is too good
and
for all individual
stretches,
defenders.
not for the entire game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But still, implementing this defense, you're saying that your players are not as good individually as Curry is on offense, and I don't see a problem with that. So Alba doing this to Monaco for 40 minutes, even less problem.
Sergio Scariolo also made some, I would say, more louder statements. He said that...
Before going there, Sergio Scariolo played that defense, box and one, on the same evening, Virtus Maccabi game. So I think those two games were happening at the similar time.
I'm not sure. No, I think that...
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But
or you're right. Probably you're right, yeah.
I don't remember right now, but so
he won the Eurobasket basically.
He won
heavily using that system.
Not 40 minutes, but like 25 minutes
in key stretches.
So, and he turned around the games in the playoffs, quarterfinal, the final. Yeah. So, and he did that again, and it was so funny to me. He did this against Lorenzo Brown, the guy with who he won the Eurobasket, using this tactic. So you think, okay, Scariolo is going to use this against Lorenzo Brown. Lorenzo Brown saw this for the whole summer, for the whole tournament. He will know what to do. And he did not know what to do. I mean, Maccabi did not know what to do. I mean, they missed some open shots, but they were, when you're in a situation so wide open, but you're not used to being, and you're like, okay, should I pass? Should I do what? Why I'm so wide open? That also is the beauty of box and one, because it gets you in a little bit. It gets the other team in a chaos. So they were down 6 or 7, I think. They switched to box and one. Full time with 3 or 4 minutes to go, and they won the game by 6 or 7 points. Lorenzo Brown touched the ball like twice in that stretch. Maccabi missed a lot of shots. He turned the ball over as well, and it was the ending moment was fun to me. That after the game they're shaking hands. Scariolo is trying to find Lorenzo Brown, and Lorenzo Brown is like, "Come on, man, you did this to me, like." We used to do the same thing together, and now you did this to me. It was really nice to see, and box and one works.
Yeah, especially for Maccabi. I mean, I think it's also comes up with the fact that Maccabi is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams, so it also helps. Monaco case is different, I guess. Oh no! I mean, they're 16th by 3-point shooting percentage, so it also makes a lot of sense why Alba took so many risks with some open corner shots or some other shots.
And maybe if Jordan Lloyd was playing, who knows if they would have implemented this for 40 minutes, but this is just a hypothesis.
So the big statement by Sergio Scariolo was that he was asked about Sasha Vezenkov after Olympiacos game, and Scariolo, after that blowout loss, said that I think he's definitely number 1 power forward in Europe right now.
That right now changes, he's giving himself a little bit of space in my eyes by saying right now.
I was just not surprised, but I was actually happy how Barca took it personal.
That they responded at least.
They responded at least twice. There were 2 tweets. There was one meme and one tweet with Mirotic on the picture and something like the real number 1 power forward or something like that.
I saw only where...
I think it was after Monaco game. Probably after they won it against the huge opponent, and Mirotic, of course, he had a big game. So I like that. In EuroLeague, it's not so usual to have those kind of, I wouldn't call it beef, because beef again between who? Between Scariolo, Barca, Vezenkov. I mean, it's not a beef, but I love to see stories being expanded and continued, and even on social media. Although, if I'm Mirotic and if I was not informed about those tweets, I don't feel very good about that, because they're kind of putting me under the bus, creating this kind of beef between him and Vezenkov. I mean, starting this big debate. Well, as a player, why do I need that?
I don't think it really matters to Mirotic, like what they are tweeting on Twitter or on social media. I don't really think he.
You think so?
I don't think he cares at all about this.
Actually, I think that...
I mean, NBA teams are doing that. The Twitter handles of NBA teams are doing this on a daily basis. And, it's just so much information out there. Maybe, maybe you're saying this because we are not used to seeing such beefs, rivalries. But I don't think Mirotic really... I mean, he thinks he's number one. He doesn't give a shit
I actually
what
believe
they're
that,
saying.
Man, what? Come on. We're talking like 2 weeks after Papagiannis heard that we thought that Žalgiris will win the game against Panathinaikos in Kaunas, told it to his players, and it was a big time thing they were emphasizing after winning the game. And you think that this statement by Sergio Scariolo, not by Rytis, not by Augustas Šuliauskas, but by Sergio Scariolo, FIBA GOAT, had nothing to do with Mirotic and didn't impact him. But what I really like about it...
What he said right now, and Mirotic has, up to that moment where he says right now, has played 2 games.
But you know what media did? Even our social media guys. I didn't see that right now moment on our social media post. There was just this quote, and I think that right now part was cut from it. So, and and I believe this wrong translation thing happens all the time. I already suffered it by myself, close agreement or like being in advanced negotiations suddenly becomes a done deal or things like that. So I for sure believe that in some Spanish media outlets, it was also taken like Sergio Scariolo said that Vezenko is bigger than Mirotic, for example. And I really believe what I actually like about that situation, I really think that Šaras also loves it. If I'm a Barcelona head coach, I love that kind of motivation because I know that Mirotic will react. He will try to prove that he is the number one. He's coming off a huge injury. He was out for 6 months, and it will just boost himself, to compete at the highest level every single night. So I think that Šaras really likes it because I actually had this personal experience before 2014 FIBA World Cup in Spain. And I remember that before the start of the World Cup, I wrote a story how Gustavo Ion killed Jonas Valanciunas in the last NBA game. I mean, nothing dramatical. Just this is the key matchup of the game, Mexico-Lithuania. This is the start of the FIBA World Cup. And, Valanciunas, that matchup was a nightmare for Valanciunas. He finished the game with 2 points, and Ion had something like close to 20. These were not usual numbers for Gustavo Ion. And, I put some story that it's going to be a big matchup, and the last time they met, Ion was like a nightmare to Valanciunas. Before the practice, or after the practice, preparing for the game, Jonas Valanciunas comes to me, or not even comes to me, in the other side of the floor. I was in Gran Canaria too. On the other side of the floor, he calls the press officer for the Lithuanian national team, and he says, this guy wrote it. And he points a finger at me. Yes, him. And he starts shouting like, what the hell you're writing? What do you mean nightmare? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, Jonas Valanciunas, it was very simple and direct. So I tried to have a discussion with him. And, we had our own arguments. I understand his position, although I think I didn't do anything wrong. But anyways, the main point is that my photographer noticed that Jonas Kazlauskas, he saw this altercation like somewhere in the corner. He was smiling because he knew that he needs to wake up his big beer, let's say, and just to inspire him for the good start, because usually the start is very nervous part of the tournament. True. So Valanciunas just killed Gustavo Ion in the first game of the World Cup. And after the game, Valanciunas was, looking for me. Where is that guy? Where's that my friend, So I really believe that Mirotic saw all those social media posts, saw some headlines, and it will have something to do with his performances going forward.
But talking about...
that's the main point. We didn't even start talking about the main point.
The main point.
If he's...
Who's really better?
Yeah.
To compare these two, in a fair way, first of all, I looked at the stats of Mirotic from last year, and he played 25 minutes. Vezenkov is now playing 30 minutes. So I calculated the stats per 30 minutes, at the same time. And you get the situation where Sasha Vezenkov is scoring 19.6 points right now, and Mirotic had 20.4. Rebounds, +1 rebound for Vezenkov. So it is +1 point for Mirotic, +1 rebound for Vezenkov. Assists, steals are similar. Vezenkov obviously is -1 in turnover because he doesn't dribble as much. Shooting percentages almost identical from everywhere. Sasha +4% from 2%, 71, 67. 3-pointers 45, 47. Free throws 87, 89. So like all statistical categories, taking the same amount of time is, we could say that these are identical. So you basically are choosing of which style of play you prefer more, because what I also did, I watched all 14 games and all the offensive possessions where Olympiacos scored points, where Sasha Vezenkov scored points. He has scored in 14 games 275 points. For those situations where he scored from free throws, field goals, he has made 26 dribbles. That's, I mean, every time I say it, every time I tell to anyone, it's like, this is ridiculous. I think to myself over and over again, this guy is scoring almost 11 points doing 1 dribble on average. This is insane, and the way he creates these points is amazing. Yeah, now you're going to say that it's not, let's say, sustainable in the fourth quarter.
No, I'm not going to say it.
He's dependent on others in the fourth quarter, and that's true. But the art, the play style, for me, it's beautiful to watch. He is so good at it that he doesn't really need to dribble. He scores points without even dribbling. And, you can't really say he depends on others because, yeah, they still need to make a pass for him at the right moment, at the right time. But in some of the situations, he is the one that creates advantage with his off-ball movement. What I want to say is, how Mike James creates something out of nothing? Olympiacos also have these moments where the possession is stuck, and Vezenkov does, 2 steps to one direction, then goes back door, and he creates the advantage with off-ball movement. This is, you still need to make the pass, like as I said, but it's still creating something out of nothing. And this is what great players do. This is what Nikola Mirotic does in the post. You don't have the advantage. You have 5 seconds. You pass to him. He makes the score. So it's just an orthodox playing style, and it's hard to say which one is better because these debates all the time are a little bit inefficient. Let's say they don't really make sense because different playing styles, different coaches. But to me, it's just beautiful to watch. And 26 dribbles for 275 points. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say that he is not scoring in the fourth quarter. I mean, just in general, these debates are great, but at the same time, every time I think about it, it's like, why should we even have those debates? I mean, let's just appreciate the greatness. Let's just appreciate the greatness that we have not only one potentially best power forward, but at least 2 potentially best power forwards.
That could easily play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, that's true. Just think, okay, but it's basketball and it's a game, and we have to create some narratives, intrigues, dramas, discussions. It's sports. I mean, that's
true.
What we're discussing in a bar, it should be the same here because it's just a game. Why we cannot try to find the best or try to make the argument who is still better if we have to choose? Just in this Vezenkov's case, I really think that, I mean, when we're talking about the greatness, I think it's also the consistency matters, and the sample size matters, and at least we have to see how Vezenkov will finish the season, if he will manage to keep those numbers, if his team still will be winning. Because Mirotic, I mean, Scariola is right. I mean, right now, for sure, Vezenkov is the best power forward in Europe.
You can't take 4 games or 3 games that Mirotic played.
He played 2 games before that statement. And even though, I mean, coming off 6-month injury and providing those numbers was huge. I mean, he's already doing great. But so far, Vezenkov is just amazing. One of the best personal seasons we're witnessing in many years. But anyways, I still need to watch him until the end of the season. And when we're talking about the greatness, a lot of different factors comes into the play. For example, you cannot compare Mirotic's role in Barca and the pressure which is coming from outside, that everybody is just counting how many Final Fours he played in and how many titles he didn't win. He kind of reminds me LeBron James of the NBA. There's this huge amount of pressure that, Miro, if you're the greatest, you have to win this, and that. You cannot basically lose. Yeah. In Vezenkov's case, it's different. I mean, I cannot say that he's treated as the main guy in the whole Olympiacos team, because there's Kostas Lukos. Of course, Vezenkov is the leader of the team number-wise, but it seems like, that the game starts not from him. With Barca, it's kind of the same, but everybody is looking at Mirotic. If Barca loses, everybody looks how many points Mirotic has scored, and if they fail, he will get the most blame. It also comes from, getting 4 or 5 million euros per season. I mean, if you're paid for like that, you kind of not deserve that pressure, but it's normal that people are expecting from you more. I would just say that those two guys, they're on two different situations, and even their teams, nobody will say anything Olympiacos won't win the EuroLeague. If Barca fail to win the EuroLeague, everybody will say that Šaras is the worst coach, Mirotic is
overrated,
choker and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just my whole point. I'm enjoying Vezenkov's season. I think he's just awesome, and he's making the case for the MVP trophy for sure, but let's be patient.
Do you agree that he's the MVP so far? 14 games.
Yeah, I agree. Because of the team results and his outstanding individual performance.
Okay. Let's go to the trade ideas.
Trade ideas. I think I just mentioned that the transfer window opened. It's until 28th December, and some teams already made moves. Fenerbahce signed Kostas Antetokounmpo until the end of the season. I was a bit surprised by the signing, but at the same time, from what I hear, it's heavily related to the fact that Fenerbahce is struggling with injuries. At first, it was Jonathan Motley. He was out for 2 or 3 weeks, and now I'm hearing, I didn't see if that was reported, but I'm hearing that Tonia Jakiri.
So it's so hard to find information about injuries in the EuroLeague.
I'm just hearing that Tonia Jakiri is injured, just not sure for how long, and that's why they're signing him. Okay, we see the official statement by Fenerbahce, which gives an update about Nemanja Bjelica and Tonia Jakiri situation. Tonia Jakiri, a return is expected to take 8 weeks. So that's a long period. Nemanja Bjelica will start working with the team in the first week of 2023. Okay, so that explains everything.
So basically 2 players that are coming back full strength.
They're playing without 3 bigs.
February.
Nemanja Bjelica never played for Fenerbahce yet this season, but Motley and Jakiri, especially Jakiri.
It makes sense. Injury. I mean, with Motley and Jakiri injured, it makes a lot of sense. And I actually made a video about Kostas Antetokounmpo. You can go watch it on our BasketNews.com YouTube channel. It is called Kostas Antetokounmpo. I think is he any good? And basically why I like this signing for Fenerbahce is because of the way he fits for this team, of the playing style, how they want to play. So he is, athletic big, who can switch, who can defend and protect the rim, and he's a great pick and roll rolling to the rim. And when you have Nick Kalaitis and you have a team who wants to switch as much as possible because of they have the players that are good for this system. So I think it makes a lot of sense because that's what they were doing with Jakiri when he was coming off the bench. Kostas is not going to be asked to create here. Basically, a center who protects the rim, who protects the perimeter when asked on switches, and can finish the plays that Nick Kalaitis will create for him. So I think he is a great fit in this area, and he will be a good, let's say, substitution for the next 2 months. I mean, I don't imagine him playing a lot when everyone comes back, because of his weaknesses, let's say his concentration issues on defense, team defense sometimes, but and mainly because he doesn't offer much anything else on the offensive side. But for the next 2 months, he's going to be a really nice substitution for these two guys.
You mentioned how much he will benefit from playing pick and roll with Nikolaitis. Just a quick thing to add. I mean, he already played with Kalaitis in the Eurobasket. He was coached by Dimitris Itoudis, so it's kind of a shortcut for a quick adjustment in the team.
And he had in Eurobasket he had injury.
He didn't play much, but at least he was practicing all the time for the Eurobasket. He was with the team, and he knows,
And he was really good in that game. He was really good in that game, Serbia-Greece, which was in the World Cup qualifiers. Before getting injured. He was a beast down there. I remember he went for this rebound or a putback jam. And got injured in his knee, I think. But before that game, he was superb. I mean, he's an athletic freak, just like his brother. All of the brothers are, and so this is not surprising that he's going to Fenerbahce.
Yeah, and it's actually Kostas Antetokounmpo is related to the other topic we're going to start, our trade scenarios. It's once again, it's sad that Rytis is not here because we were about to bring like at least 5 trade scenarios which we were about to discuss. But anyways, I mean, in one of the cases I think that Kostas Antetokounmpo was an amazing backup for Panathinaikos, for example, for Papagiannis. He would be way better fit than Arturas Gudaitis is, and it could have been related to one of the trade scenarios I actually had, like trading Gudaitis away and signing Kostas Antetokounmpo. And just imagine if Fenerbahce didn't have those injury problems. I don't really believe that Maccabi was after Antetokounmpo, because from what I've heard, when Alex Poitras was sidelined, they were preferring stretch 4 rather than another athletic center because they have Nebo, and Sorkin is doing really nice job.
Sorkin is carrying my fantasy team, my fantasy bench.
He is one of the, I would say, alternative surprises of the season.
100%.
Yeah, one of the most interesting newcomers in the EuroLeague. So I really don't believe that they were serious about signing Antetokounmpo. So anyway, let's start with our trade scenarios. The whole topic, when I thought about it, I was so freaking excited. I was like, oh my God, we can bring up with so many interesting trade scenarios. But then when I tried to dig in, find logical solutions for both teams,
this is why it's
not to harm anybody, I was like, wow. In what kind of shithole I'm putting myself?
Yeah, because I mean, it all starts from the thing that we don't have a salary cap in the EuroLeague. Probably the money questions differ too much for some of these trades you're about to hear in this podcast as well. You don't have draft picks to send, which would help a lot of trades we are about to say, and all the teams are in win now mode, at least right now in December. No team has given up on the playoffs, mainly because there is so much parity this season in the EuroLeague. 3 wins separate the last place from the playoffs, and the first place also from the 8th spot. So these trades are really hard to make. That's why maybe it's also hard to make for the EuroLeague teams. We never see this happening because you can just basically switch players, and it is really hard probably to find the middle point. But let's try. I can go first, and we can touch Partizan.
Okay.
I think here in this topic. They have the second best offensive rating in the last 5 rounds. I'm taking the last 5 rounds because it speaks about how are you performing in the last month, not how you did in October. They have the second best offensive rating and the worst defense in all EuroLeague. And to me, that's crazy when you talk about a team who is coached by Željko Obradović. But they have 2 problems. The defense, they don't have defensive-minded players, and they don't have a point guard in offense. They have so much talent there that they can outscore some of the teams. But they're a jump shooting team that don't have defense. And I don't see such team out shooting with jump shots on a weekly basis every other opponent, even though they have a huge home court advantage there. I don't see them in the playoffs with this roster. So I am proposing, I would, if I'm Partizan, I would be going after Daniel Hackett for the point guard position.
Yeah.
And it's a free team trade with Papa Petru going back to Panathinaikos.
Yeah.
Because he is struggling a lot. And don't say you have the same trade. That will be...
Papa Petru, Panathinaikos, Partizan. I just have different players coming to Partizan.
Daniel Hackett?
No.
Okay.
I was actually thinking about Payola. I just didn't think what Virtus would need.
That's true.
I couldn't find a
they're
team
not
for
giving
Virtus.
Up. And I have Hackett to Partizan, Papa Petru going to Panathinaikos back, and Danilo and Jusic going to Virtus, because I think they could use some, they could give up some defense, which Jusic doesn't bring, but he brings a lot of shooting.
Okay.
And I think they could use that and some pick and roll creation. And Panathinaikos is sending Ponitka as well to Virtus. So they have some depth at the forward position. He can basically, fit in 3 different positions, play whatever roles Cariolo needs him to play. And that would make, so Ponitka and Jusic to Virtus, Papa Petru to Panathinaikos, and Hackett to Partizan. And I mean, probably Virtus is not accepting this because Hackett is their main point guard and stuff. But just to me, Virtus gets some depth in the forward position to cover some injuries, to cover any spots. Plus, they get some creation with the ball. Pau gets a replacement for Marius Grigonis, and sometimes I believe Papa Petru is a better player than how he's playing right now. And the Partizan solves their problem with the defense a little bit. Plus, they have a creator who can organize the game, because right now they're just, one-on-one basketball and a jump shooting team.
I actually tried to find some reasons behind poor Partizan's defense in their depth. I mean, they're just playing so many minutes. They don't have a long bench. And I thought about extending their bench. And the first I wanted...
Can we, before we go, we can talk about a little bit more about Partizan defense, because it's ridiculous to watch some of those.
Sure.
Some of the players that you can see what they're doing on the court, they're completely... Like, you see Yamadar... pressuring the guard extremely well, but off the ball, like, you could basically say they're faking the defense, the aggressive defense. With the home court advantage that the fans give to them, it seems like, oh my God, they're so aggressive playing the defense. They should be a top 5 defensive team. But after you cross the half court and you beat the pressure, they're all over the place. Like in the weak side, players are playing defense like this. They don't understand
That's true.
where their players are. And off the ball, they're not as good. So basically you could say they're faking that aggressive defense, and just the atmosphere makes you think as a spectator that there should be a really great defensive team, when in reality, Željko Obradović has players who never really were known for defensive purposes, except, for a couple of them. So it's strange that Obradović's team is last, but at the same time, when you see some examples, you're like, okay, this is clear now. So let's hear your trade to.
It's a 4-team trade.
4-team trade. I mean,
it's just because I had to find some teams. I think that the whole
you did not
this
watch
segment
the whole,
for me,
it
took like 4 hours, and I came up with like maybe 2 logical trade scenarios, and these were boring ones. So this one I actually made it up just before the podcast. So I'm looking for some depth. I need somebody to change Matthias Lezort and to be a more experienced inside the paint center, big body. To also help Lezort to be more aggressive and active in some situations, because of course if you're getting into foul trouble, you're done. Partizan doesn't have any backup for them. So, and also as I mentioned, I need some IQ. I need some IQ defensively, and especially for perimeter defense. So based on that, I have 4 teams in a trade. And Partizan gets Arturas Gudaitis from Panathinaikos and Austin Hollins from Maccabi. First of all, neither Gudaitis nor Hollins, they're not on a huge roles in both teams. I think they can provide more. I think that they would be better in a better situation, better environment in terms of coaches, philosophy, team, just fit in general. So the next team is in a trade is Panathinaikos, obviously. They're getting Papapetro from Partizan. Why are putting Papapetro into the trade? Because I think that they're deep enough with their backcourt. I mean, they have James Nunnally. You can move Dante Exum through different positions because you have Yamadar, Alex Avramovic. There's also Anjusic. And there's Kevin Punter. I mean, they're so fucking freaking deep. Sorry for my bad language. So I'm sending Papapetro to Panathinaikos because although I think that they still need a big man in this situation, or they even need somebody to stretch the floor from the 4 position, I think that both for Pau and Partizan and for Papapetro, it's maybe better to return, to change some players, and to give that, local player spirit and to fit next to Bacon, Derek Williams, for example, and to play big lineups. So I'm sending Papapetro to Panathinaikos. And then there are 2 other teams, Milan and Maccabi. Milan gets Darun Hillard from Maccabi because they're lacking of scorer from scoring options, perimeter scorer who can help to create some more spaces for others, who can get the defensive attention and to make more spaces for others to score. Or
Billy Barron is starting to heat up, though.
That's true. Barron is great, I know, but I just needed more options on their offense, especially when Shavon Shields is injured and Kevin Pangos is injured. I think it's still a great fit for them offensively because they're probably dead last in offensive rating. What Maccabi is doing, they're getting Deshaun Thomas from Milan because they need somebody to stretch the floor from the 4th position. Odette Katash also likes players who can play multiple positions. So I think it's just a great fit next to Bonzi Colson or anybody else from the 4th position.
And Deshaun Thomas seems a bit underused in Olympia's office.
And the thing about Deshaun Thomas is that in order for him to be efficient and successful, to feel the rhythm, he needs to play bigger minutes.
Bigger role,
bigger minutes. Because he's not that type of player who can just, who can get up on the floor cold and then in the 3rd quarter to hit some dagger threes. No, he needs to feel the game. That's how it was in Bayern. He was playing a lot of minutes. I know that he wouldn't play 30 minutes per game in Maccabi, but at least close to 20, because you cannot say that Maccabi has a clear foreman in their team. I think that Martin is playing around 16 minutes. Poitras was playing as a 4 before, which actually offensively it's ridiculous. I mean, Poitras and Nebo for me is ridiculous. So Deshaun Thomas stretched the floor and would help them offensively. And actually, I have Marius Grigonis to Maccabi as well. I don't remember the reason behind that, but I just think that especially if Papapetro is coming back, they don't need Grigonis. They're already winning without Grigonis, and Grigonis is a player who needs the ball.
Pau are giving up Gudaitis and Grigonis for Papapetro.
That's a great deal, I think.
Do you think don't you think it's too much for Papapetro?
No. I just think that Gudaitis, he's not in his shoes in that team, and he's not what Panathinaikos needs. They need a different center, so that's why they would hit the market for a center, a mobile center who can switch, who can be different, or who can stretch the floor. I don't know. Grigonis, I mean, it's like you already have Bacon as your top scorer.
He's
Williams,
injured. You don't know when he's coming back.
Yeah,
so.
he's having this back injury.
But that's also why it is so hard. But I actually like this trade. But that's also why it is so hard to make these trades, because every team is in win now mode, like I said, and you don't want to take an injured player. Whereas if we are talking about NBA, you can take an injured player and his salary to get back something for the next season, and or a draft pick, and that would make sense. Now, if let's say nobody knows when Grigonis is coming back, right?
That's true.
So and Maccabi's like, we are getting one healthy player and one player that we don't know when he's going even to play. Why we should take
risk
him?
Behind this trade.
I'm not saying the trade is bad. It's I like the thinking about it, and I see why it took so much time for you to think about this. But it's just why again EuroLeague and trades in EuroLeague are so rare.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a cool one. It's a cool one.
Okay, what do you have for your second
my
trade?
second one, I'm gonna mention Darian Hilliard in my last trade, but the second big one is a sign and trade deal.
Okay.
In the EuroLeague. Can you guess?
No.
Who it is? Sign and trade. Sign.
My head is so empty right now.
Facundo Campazzo.
Okay. I was actually also thinking about Red Star.
And I still believe the point guard position wasn't the one that Zvezda needed the biggest upgrade in. So I said, let us make Facundo Campazzo go home.
Okay.
Go home to Real Madrid. And it's Facundo Campazzo plus John Holland to Real Madrid. And in return, Zvezda gets Mario Hezonja to play at the small forward position.
Ooh.
And Adam Hanga, a defensive-minded player who doesn't have a role in Real Madrid because of 12,000 backcourt players that they have there in their rotation this season. And he has played only in 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. But
maybe 4. It doesn't matter. He's not playing.
Yeah, and you get Hezonja to play the small forward. That's huge upgrade for this position. He can have a huge role, high usage. He's tall for the position, so he can fit in their defensive also play style. Another option, scoring option for them, which is I still think Zvezda need. And Hanga is a great defensive player to fit their style as well. And Campazzo back to Madrid is the thing you want to see. And I still think, he puts them over the top, in the title contending race. So you have, to fit the time of Hezonja, you have Koser, you have Abalde, you have Janan Musa, who is playing outstanding basketball. You have Gabi Deck at the third position. But with this trade, you would be improving the point guard position, and Campazzo is still,
That's amazing trade, really, I think.
Thank you.
That's a great trade. And especially when I was watching Žalgiris and Real Madrid, I'm like, Keenan Evans is the best point guard on the floor. I like Nigel Williams-Goss, but I just don't think it's a good fit for both. I would really like to see him playing somewhere else. There were these rumors months ago about Partizan, for example. I don't know. I think he just needs some different environment, and Real Madrid could really benefit from our elite point guard playing next to Chacho Rodriguez. That would be something amazing. And that trade makes a lot of sense.
Can play the shooting guard position.
Yeah, Rudy Fernandez
is still there.
And in Red Star, you have Luka Vildoza playing wonderful basketball, Nemanja Nedovic playing at home, playing with defensive effort, inspired by Duško Ivanović.
He's still Nemanja Nedovic.
Yeah. They're playing, their backcourt is really great. And now you're adding Facundo Campazzo. Of course, it adds a lot of value, but at the same time,
a lot of talent.
How Nedovic, for example, will adjust his role. Of course, if you have a chance to sign Campazzo, you don't care what anybody else would think about it or how they're going to feel. They will have to find their space, their spot on the roster. But still, both for Real, they need some different players. Both Red Star, I think I agree with you that they need some different players. So that would be a great trade. I would actually ask something more from Madrid because, Red Star has this upper hand.
You're getting Hezonja and Adam Hanga.
Yeah, but they already, they have Campazzo. So they have an upper hand. So I would ask something else.
Okay.
Maybe for some cash or for some other
player. A draft pick.
Or a
draft swap. The possibility to swap.
Or a prospect. I don't know. They have a lot of great prospects in the youth system. And usually they don't even play for the main team. So just drop a couple of them.
Okay.
Yeah. My last 2 trades are really boring. One was actually already included in this gigantic 4-team trade. It was Hilliard for Deshaun Thomas. I just think that is a simple and easy trade for both parts. As I mentioned, Hilliard is not performing well for Maccabi. They can actually afford losing him because there's Austin and Hollins. They have enough bodies on the backcourt and they need a stretch four. And as I mentioned, Milan needs somebody to inspire their offense.
Before you tell your last one trade, I have a trade for Darian Hillard as well. He's like, for me, it seems like the most the player who would if we were in the NBA, he would be like, I'm asking for a trade.
Yeah.
And maybe he already did that on Twitter.
If he's happy playing in Tel Aviv, I just think, and the best thing is that he's a great guy. Bringing him to your team, you're not putting your locker room to some, toxic environment. No, he's a great addition for any team, whether it's a title contender or a team in a playoff race like you have for your trade offer, right?
No, I have Darian Hillard going to Olympiacos.
Okay.
Taking the place of Isaiah Cannon, and Isaiah Cannon reuniting with Lorenzo Brown in that backcourt.
I had the same idea. I tried to put all these scenarios. I just don't see a lot of sense for Maccabi to bring Cannon to Maccabi, actually. Okay, you're adding another shooter, but I mean, you still have Hollins, you still have Adams, there's Baldwin, there's Lorenzo Brown. I just didn't see that it was a good move for Maccabi. But for Olympiacos, I mean, it's great. I was even actually almost ready to sacrifice Alec Peters for that trade.
No, you're not sacrificing Alec Peters there.
It's not worth it.
But I just see that, new environments for two players that are not playing up to their level. So they could have a fresh start with maybe a bigger role if they start to play well all of a sudden. Cannon next to Brown, we already saw that it was working last season. He seems like a perfect fit to me next to Lorenzo Brown, to be honest. So both players get a new chance and a fresh start in the middle of the season, and maybe could lift both teams, to make this next step. I was also thinking, that Olympiacos could trade Isaiah Cannon, not for Darian Hillard, maybe for someone else, and then try to sign Tyler Dorsey, in February before the deadline, and that would make Olympiacos an even stronger team than last season. So, but I thought, okay, we're not, adding any particular signings other. So just this simple trade between two players that are, let's say, underperforming, but I believe both of them can play much better. They're
not as bad as the numbers look right now, for sure. That's also a great trade. I was so focused on Panathinaikos that I also thought about another scenario.
Hey, why do you hate Panathinaikos nuts?
I'm not hating. I'm not even hating them. I'm looking for the best solutions for them to become even better, man.
Bravo.
So that's why, again, I'm looking for...
Also, you are saying they're not good enough. Okay, I see.
They're not good enough right now to be a top 8 lock. So maybe they're one or two trades away from being a top 8 lock. And maybe this trade at least will help them to get a little bit more wins. And I'm sending Gudaitis to Bayern Munich and getting Freddie Gillespie from Munich, because I just think that he's more able to switch, and he is that energy booster who can also afford playing off the bench. What Gudaitis brings to Bayern is experience. He has I think that right now he has a higher IQ because of his EuroLeague experience, and that's what this team with a lot of newcomers in Munich needs. And from what I heard, that Bayern was also monitoring Gudaitis in the offseason, so I think it makes sense, especially next to Otello Hunter.
Okay.
Easy trade, not a game changer, but let's just swap two centers.
Makes sense.
For their best.
To try.
Yeah. So,
I don't have any more. I had these three.
We were about to offer 2 trade ideas, and if Rytis was there, we would have 6, so we have to to come off with something bigger. But I think we did a nice job. We're actually waiting for your trade offers in the comment section. And we're waiting for you to come up with some crazy, but at the same time, smart ideas for all sides. And this is it. This is it, guys.
You guys will see how hard it is to make a fair trade for both teams when you don't have draft picks or cash,
and if you're fair to all teams.
Yeah, I know. Probably there's going to be some comments. There are going to be some comments where you are a fan of one team and you like a team, a good player from the other side, and you're just giving up. I don't know. You are taking the starting player from one team and giving back the rotation eighth or ninth guy in the rotation to the team. But yeah, we are waiting for your suggestions in the comment section, and
press like button because it really helps us to grow. Subscribe our channel, rate us 5 stars on all the audio platforms you're getting our podcast, and see you very soon. This week we have a Q&A pod. We hope that Rytis will recover from this Argentina fever and he will be able to make the pod. So actually you can already start making questions for our Q&A episode, which will be available. Entire episode will be available only for BN Plus members. You can become BN Plus member on basketnews.com/plus, but also you'll see some parts of the pod available for everybody. But I really encourage you to become our BN Plus members because you will get a lot of extra features, including additional Augustas breakdowns, Rytis betting tips, some opinion articles, and a lot of things on Facebook group. For example, we have this closed community where you can ask the question, whether it's Eddie Tavares, Vasilis Panulis, all these main guys. The next guest on Basket News Talks might be another famous, vocal, and very interesting personality. So I think it's really cool feature, just to send your question and to hear your name during the interview. For example, this is the question by Augustas Šliauskas. How important for you to win games, coach? Just an example.
You never said this. I guess it's only for the BN Plus members, and
there's some inside story actually behind this question.
Not for the colleagues. I make 80% of the questions for you, and then you're like,
because you're getting paid for it.
Hey, Walter Tavares, I have a lot of questions from you. My own
actually,
questions.
all questions are from Augustas Šliauskas. No, it's not true. But August is also delivering some good questions. So as you see, I'm open to all the offers, and we for sure gladly can put it on our interviews. Anyways, enough. Thanks a lot, and see you soon this week.